The 2 Count, where comedy meets wrestling. Please comment, share, and like, and if you're watching the live stream, join us with your comments and questions. And now here are the hosts of the 2 Count, comedian John Russell, and wrestling broadcaster Big Ace.
Lord, everybody, good Tuesday evening to you. It's we started a little bit late because we get talking and then it's like we're just having a normal conversation, and I'm looking like, oh shoot, look at that, it's already 8 o'clock. Anyway, so we're a little bit behind, but it's nothing terrible. Tonight we have an interesting list. We'll be ranking the current champions in WWE, NXT, AEW, and the NWA. So you already all know who they all are, and we'll get your ideas and your thoughts on it as well. But we'll kind of go through and discuss what we think of everybody that's holding the belt right now. At least in those main spots. We're not talking about the women, who, to be fair, in a lot of cases, I would rank almost higher than the men. In some cases. And another thing that we can do as we're talking about this is we can talk about people we think should have a belt or would be better in some of those spots. I can think of a couple right away. But anyway, point being, we'll get to that. How you doing, Ace? Good?
Good. Just another week.
Glad to hear it. Oh my gosh. So we've got I gotta be honest with you. Thanksgiving and I was as we mentioned last week, I was on quarantine for being exposed to somebody who was positive for COVID. And that's fine. I got a test back negative on Sunday afternoon, and so I get to go back to work tomorrow. But I didn't have a whole hell of a lot to do. Thanksgiving, I stood home. I understand you did as well, as kind of a precaution from spreading it at work if you were to be exposed. But yeah, to be honest, I had my son make me up a Thanksgiving plate and brought it over about 1 o'clock. And then, do you remember Andy Fisher? Andy Fisher's a comedian down in Rochester. Andy sent me a note when I was hey Snuggie, good to see you. Andy sent me a note on Wednesday and said, "What are you doing for Thanksgiving?" I said, "Nothing. I'm in quarantine." He says, "Well, I'm going to bring you up some stuff." So he had nothing else to do up here. He drove from Rochester, Minnesota to my house, which is an hour and a half, and had, holy crap, 2 different kinds of pie, white and dark turkey, gravy, potatoes, everything, green bean casserole, bread, some kind of, there was just so much awesome Brussels sprouts, so much awesome stuff. And I'm like, "Did you come?" Nope, just came up, just give me something to do. Like, son of a bee, that is awful nice. And so I know Andy Fisher does not necessarily ever watch this show, but I just want to say, if you did something nice for somebody on Thanksgiving, God bless you, because I'm telling you, man, this is still rough times we living in. So anyway, a lot of people sometimes ask what I got in my background. Tonight it is LAX. We're watching planes come in and out. Every once in a while, you see one flap over my shoulder. Doesn't look like there are any taken off. They're going to be harder to see taken off, but when they come in over my shoulder, you'll see
live.
It's live.
There's a plane behind your head right now.
There is? Where?
Thought I saw him.
No, you can see him come around. So they're
Your
on this
background
shoulder.
is so much better than my dining room.
Dude, your dining room looks fine. When your cat comes in, I always lose listeners because people are like, hey, let's talk about Ace's cat.
Look at the fat
Anyway,
cat.
all right, on to wrestling this week. Hope everybody had a chance to watch some wrestling, either with your family, without them, whatever. But we got a couple of things coming up. We had something happen, and let's talk about the NWA right away. For those of you that
I haven't seen this. It came
Okay.
out today.
Yeah, it came out today.
Shockwaves?
If you join their Shockwaves. If you join their Patreon account, you can want.
You got to join.
No. Hold on. Let me get through before you start questioning. All right. If you join their Patreon account, you get to watch it on Monday. If you don't, you watch it free on YouTube on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
I didn't check because I don't. I mean, it's recorded. It's not like I'm watching it live. As much as I'd like to support them, I'm struggling to keep myself from living in a car. So
no doubt. We need a Patreon for this show.
we had one, and then I neglected it. But anyway, the point is, I'll fix it. We'll do something. But the thing about it is that it's nice. It's short. It's on something that they're calling the United Wrestling Network.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but it's really just on their YouTube page. The show, great. In spots, only 38 minutes long. All right, only 3 matches. Eli Drake in a squash match. They're not squash matches like you see on WWE though. I mean, the people they're wrestling actually put up a fight. And
like
then
instead of 3.
Pardon me?
They're like 8-minute long matches instead of 3.
Well, yeah. Camille against Heather Monroe. And Heather Monroe wrestled against Sheeta on AEW, I think 2-3 weeks ago. I don't recall exactly. That was a really good match. Although Heather Monroe had this male valet called Heather Body or some crazy stuff, but he was a bald guy, with a beard, wearing a fucking sparkly muumuu, and I don't understand that. That's one thing I don't like about it. In 38 minutes, you don't know the backstory, you don't know what the story is, right? But Camille looks like she's been working out like she has nothing better to do. She
got into bodybuilding, didn't she?
Oh, dude, she just looks she just looks chiseled. I mean, there are guys that don't look as good as her.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that in a weird way. I just mean it's like, holy shit, she looks fantastic. And then
it's pretty jacked. I've seen her online, Mike.
Yeah. Still, the thing with her is the voice doesn't match the body.
It doesn't.
Unfortunately for her, which is fine, which is why they don't ever do. Anyway, the main event match was NWA World Champion Nick Aldis against Mike Bennett with who is now called Mrs. Bennett. So they kind of did a reverse on that because I think Maria.
Does WWE own Maria?
I think so.
Oh.
which is how fucking ridiculous is that?
That's hilarious.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cena. You have to call yourself Mr. Cena because we own the copyright to John.
Yeah,
that's
how we get them. Independent contractors.
I tell you. But anyway,
bringing you in to do this, but it's hard.
Hold on, got to turn that off. Anyway,
ding on that one.
For God's sake. Anyway,
YouTube just kicked us off right there.
No, they did not.
It was nowhere near long enough.
It wasn't long enough for the algorithm to catch up.
The robots are still turning on right now.
Oh God! But anyway, if you do want to get a kind of a taste, now here's the thing. So they film these matches with no audience, obviously.
So that was my question. Compare this to what we saw with NWA Power, the in-studio audience, to like old, back to the NWA days. So does it feel like it's still, because that felt like it was still a live show? I mean, it wasn't live, but you could like, they had the segments and it was all in the studio. It was like, if you were in that audience, you saw a full like hour show. So is it like that? Is this just like some matches cut together with then some other stuff cut in between, like pretty heavily produced, or is it run like it's a live show?
So they've recorded the matches like they're a live show, but it's really not anywhere near as polished as what they were doing with Power.
Sure.
They have that Joe Galley come out at the beginning and give a little introduction and let you know what you're going to see, which is fine. But then here's Joe Galley as one of the commentators. And he's got two other people doing commentary with him who are never identified. I mean, it wasn't until middle of the match somebody says, I think called the, so he's got a guy and a woman, called the woman Alicia. I never did hear the other guy's name. So that's just an idea of the polish. The matches themselves looked okay, and I was more interested in the Aldis and Bennett match than I was with the Eli Drake match, because I'm not really a huge fan of Eli Drake's, even though he's good and he's been around forever. But the fact with them, there wasn't nearly the excitement, and there was nobody in the audience, and Eli Drake brought attention to that. That's not something you do. You don't, I mean, just from a performer standpoint, as a comedian, you don't go into a place that has 12 people and go, what the fuck? There are only 12 people here? You don't do that. The people that are there or not there, everybody knows. You don't bring attention to that because it doesn't help you. It makes people think you're a dick. There goes a plane. Anyway, they didn't have barely anything in front. There was no pre-match, so to speak, for Drake and the guy he wrestled. I don't remember his name.
So it was basically just all action. There was no like lead into anything.
Yeah, there was no lead in for Camille, because obviously she doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. There were a couple of reasonable promos for Aldis and Mike Bennett that really, to be honest, it got me invested in the whole thing, because I thought, but I really enjoyed the match. And that's, as we were talking, that's one of the reasons I considered on our list. I was toying with the idea of moving Nick Aldis up the list a little bit, but we'll discuss it. But anyway, overall, it's and as I mentioned, it looks like it's going to be Eli Drake, Camille, and Nick Aldis and Thunder Rosa, and that looks like that's I mean, it looks like that might be the only people that are involved at this point. If that's the case, it's going to be old quick. I mean, I like all those people.
I think they're going to bring more. I think they've probably taped a lot more. Something interesting to note, though, is because that debuted today, right?
Well, it debuted on Monday on their Patreon, but
came publicly
came free watching today.
So also today, I guess Maureen Tracy, who was the NWA's director of operations, left the company today as well. Who's been heavily praised. She actually worked with High Spots, which is a great company too.
Yeah,
went to NWA. A lot of people praising her, really loved her. They said she was kind of the heart and soul of NWA. So interesting to see that happened today too. Wondering what the future is going to end up looking like for NWA. If that's going to have any impact or not.
Billy Corgan, call us.
What's Billy Corgan doing over there?
Billy Corgan, call us. I mean, I'm not doing anything. Ace can get out of his job. Come on, Billy. Come on, Billy. Anyway, but that's the NWA in a nutshell. I look forward to it because I liked it so much when it was Power, and
huge NWA guy.
And the thing is, it's kind of like, I mean, it's their second iteration of a show. I'll give them another couple of weeks. I will say that when they did that Carneyland, when everything shut down, I gave that 1 week because that was ridiculously stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
I didn't
just.
even remember it. Didn't even watch it.
I know, because it was. I think I brought it up once and said it was crap, and then we never spoke of it again.
That's funny. I'd like to see what a good run from NWA is going to look like once this is like post pandemic. I mean, obviously they were.
I know.
Kind of just hitting the ground when all that happened. So, but yeah. So check it out, everybody. I guess I'll try to remember to watch it too on YouTube. That NWA Shockwave. The core. That's I love them for it, but that's the one thing with NWA too. They've come up with the corniest like old school names for their shows right now. You know, NWA Power, and now it's Shockwave. Carneyland. That just sounds like
no, dude.
Well,
Nick Aldis is so they had it. So that God, I got to tell you, man, that whole thing, that whole Carneyland deal was so. They had weird. They had a thing with Eli Drake. They had a thing with that Zicky Dice, who you probably haven't seen him. He was their TV champion. Hey, Chris, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. He was their TV champion. And I think he asked for his release or left shortly after the pandemic. Somebody else had something, and then Nick Aldis had his day segment, because everybody had his show was what's all this now, like what's all this, but with his, and I started thinking to myself, now why am I watching this?
What am I doing with my life?
I mean, it's like you're using cheap ass puns, and there were way more. I think there was one with Sandow. I can't remember what his real name is that he uses now. That's how long ago it's been since I watched Power.
Like I said, that was like right when the pandemic began. I mean, they were really kind of coming out then.
They had
bad luck for them.
So here's the thing. I know they had one full season, at least what they called a full season, which I think was maybe 20 weeks, something like that. And then once the pandemic hit and they couldn't record anymore, because remember, they had a whole chunk there where they had Cornette on with them.
Right.
And then he
crazy asshole
effed it all up.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
If AEW was in that position that they were debuting, January, February, and then everything happened in March, where would they be looking like right now?
I think they'd be dead in the water.
That's a fun little game to play, but they're not. Luckily, they got a good year jump on it. But another big show coming up this weekend is going to be the War Games show, so we should go through that card.
You want to do War Games now, and then we'll do our list.
Do our list, and then we can end with whatever that AEW winter.
AEW's winter is coming.
Winter's coming tomorrow. No crap, winter's coming. It's December. I'll tell you what, though, in Minnesota, this has been quite
pretty mild.
Yeah, and I think I looked at the next week and a half or something, and it's like, man, there's still really no snow in our forecast.
I know.
It might be a green Christmas in Minnesota. How about that?
That doesn't happen often.
How about that? This is the time for it to be a mild winter, though. That's the last thing we need in a pandemic is 30 below and 5 feet of snow.
Being stuck in there, yeah. Well, Chris knows about that.
Right? Yeah, Chris, you know what's up. So, yeah, we got War Games going down Sunday. I don't like that it's Sunday. Didn't NXT used to do their stuff usually Saturday?
Well, typically they're on takeovers, which are Saturdays. And since there's nothing going on, because I think last year it was on the 23rd. And so it was the day before Survivor Series last year.
Yeah, they did it. Yeah, they kind of got off their how they were doing takeovers, I think, once the pandemic began.
Yeah.
You can't do it right ahead of the big show because the big thing was you were going to pack the house.
Yeah.
So, well, the thing, though, with War Games is this is going to be, I think, the third or fourth one I think they're doing now. And NXT has really shined when it came to bringing these War Game matches back. Yeah. I mean, everyone so far, men and women's side, have been stellar matches. My favorite last year was, Kevin Owens being on Team Ciampa, and then the Dakota Kai heel turn on Tegan Knox. I loved it. So we have that coming up on Saturday, and we got some good stuff going. You mentioned it before we got on. You're like, man, I caught some of NXT this last weekend. I need to get back into NXT weekly.
I will say this. So NXT is, and I hadn't watched it in a while, and I wanted to catch up because to be honest, I thought because of last year, I thought War Games was this last weekend, right? But it wasn't. It's this weekend. So I ended up watching, which I didn't. I thought, oh well, this show, which was on the 27th, this must be the go home show. I'll watch this and then I'll find it. Maybe they just don't have it up yet.
Yep.
Well, it wasn't. It's still, they're setting up. They do such a fantastic job with always Rainey and the Kodiak. Yep. I've never been up there. I'd like to be in the warm part of Alaska. But NXT does a great job with having the audience. They got a sparse audience, but it's an audience, and it's enough that I don't feel like when they start chanting it's hokey, even though I know that that the NXT personnel is actually starting it, I don't feel as hokey about it.
Right. I feel the same way. I feel like they're pretty comparable to NXT shows are to Dynamite, where the crowd seems pretty natural.
Yeah.
I think the nice addition is with this new CWC arena is having that chain link fence on the plexiglass, because it adds a little bit more when they're hitting the ball.
Yeah.
That was a good move. Yeah, man, I'm all for it. I like the NXT style that they got going right now. Someone said it's like almost underground, and it's like, yeah, way better than that other underground thing they tried.
I don't speak of that one either. But yeah, so I watched NXT and it's like, literally, this is what's great about it. Okay. And I'm not saying that I should not watch it, but I tuned in. It's still people that I recognize, which is great. And I become invested in almost everything they're doing like that.
Mm-hmm.
They had KO doing commentary.
Yeah.
And he did his Kevin Owens show.
Yeah.
And brought about this this three-way between Ciampa, Gargano, and whoever the I can't think of his name.
For the North American Championship.
Yeah.
Leon Ruff.
Leon.
That's Gargano versus Damian Priest.
Yeah. Oh, it's Priest. That's right. Ciampa's doing that, but Ciampa was doing something else, hanging out with a chair against it. I mean, it's just everything that they do. I mean, it's like I'm invested right away. It's like I'll say this. It's like I was when AEW just started.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest. There's some things in AEW in 2 hours, I'm like, yeah, okay. I watch it because it's there. And we've talked about this. Sometimes I just watch and it's just on, and I don't watch because I have zero interest, because they're not doing a good job telling their stories, but they're doing a better job having me just jump in the middle of shit than AEW is when I'm following it all along.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just my opinion. But anyway.
Yeah, so you got War Games coming up. So again, like you said, it's so I'm gonna go over the card and then I'll kind of explain what you were talking about. And first match on here that I'll bring up. Well, we already kind of just said that last match. So again, for the North American Championship, you got Leon Ruff, who won it 1 or 2, maybe 3 weeks ago on NXT just Wednesday night. I think. Johnny Gargano, who him and Candice LeRae being this just evil heel couple who runs NXT works.
Yep.
Great stuff. And then Damian Priest. I'm not a huge Damian Priest guy. Great athlete, great in the ring. I don't know. I don't like the character so much. Like the whole, and it's just not for me, but he's great. He really is. You can't take that away. It's just not for me. So this is going to be a great match.
Yeah.
Really great match, especially with Leon Ruff kind of coming out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So this other match, Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis in a strap match. That's
going to be something.
Their last, what was it? Didn't they just have a takeover not too long ago?
I don't remember when it was, but the whole crux of this story is that Cameron Grimes is afraid.
Right. And here's the deal. Basically, I knew who Dexter Lumis is because I remember him coming out, I think, during an Undisputed thing.
Yeah.
But then I kind of hadn't watched for a little bit once he started like really getting involved. And Cameron Grimes, I'd seen, but I hadn't really actually sat and watched him. And I watched, and I can't remember. You guys remind me if there was a takeover not too long ago where they did their match, and it was like at a house or a prison or something. Cameron Grimes.
I don't remember
this. And yeah, man, I wasn't huge on Cameron Grimes either when I first saw him, but after watching that match, I was like, I get it. I get it. And I like it now. Like, he's totally that, like, I'm a big tough heel dude. And then like he totally plays the whole like shit scare.
Yeah.
To a T. Like, it's perfect. So again, these are two people I wasn't too super familiar with because I hadn't been paying very close attention to NXT, and they instantly in that first 5 minutes hooked me. So it just speaks to what NXT is really doing right now. And when you look at everything you have, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Dark, ROH, Impact, NWA, Shockwave. Now, when you look at all these shows, I think the most well-rounded product on TV right now is NXT.
Amen.
Really is, as a wrestling product.
I know it's a talk show. I'm supposed to argue with you about it, but I can't because it just became that revelation to me this week.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I didn't know that. Chris says Lumis was in Impact Wrestling as well. I don't know if you remember that or not, but yeah, dude, he's. I like his vibes. I like that he's just kind of this creepy dude, and him and Cameron Grimes play off each other so well too. They really do. It's great. Now we have our women's war game match. I'm excited for Team Shotzi Blackheart against Team Candice LeRae. I don't think all the teams are rounded out right now, but Candice LeRae's,
I think, pretty much is.
Yeah, with Toni Storm. Who is it? It's Toni Storm. Who else is on it? I don't have the full team.
Dakota Kai is.
Dakota Kai. Who's the girl with Dakota Kai, the Latin girl?
Yeah, her. Is it? I want to.
Raquel or something. Rachel or
Rachel or Raquel Gonzalez or Morales.
Not if you're watching, Chris. If you know those.
Yeah, he might.
Yeah, man. And then Shotzi Blackheart, Rhea Ripley, Ember Moon, Io Shirai,
Martinez. There you go. That's why Damian Priest couldn't be Punishment Martinez.
Right. So I mean, it's gonna be a good match. I liked how they started this feud too, where Candice LeRae took like a monster truck and ran over Shotzi Blackheart's tank. It's just good. Shotzi Blackheart's really been just kind of like coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's been around. People like we've all known who she was, but like the last month or two, like, man, they've kind of really pushed her to the front. And she's shown up.
Yeah.
I mean, even as the host of Halloween Havoc. I mean, so, even as a host, it was great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Ember Moon, we talked about this before. I think everybody's Team Shotzi.
Yeah,
to be honest, sure. Chris. Ember Moon was on this last week, and she has a new look, new haircut, and it looks kind of cool. But yeah, the whole story they have now with Team Candice beating the hell out of anybody that's on Team Shotzi it's fantastic because you know who's going to win.
Yeah. And the thing too is, see, that's the thing I really like about these war game matches. It's a very gimmicky match. It's a very spotty match, but you have to kind of still tell the story because of how they come into the ring. It starts out as one-on-one. Then there's always going to be the advantage, then the odd, then advantage, then even.
Yeah.
And the match doesn't even start till both teams are in. So they still have to sell. They still have to start slow.
Yeah.
And build throughout that match to where, last year when you had Ciampa going down on the table with Adam Cole off the top of the War Games structure onto those tables. I mean,
unbelievable.
I thought dude was gonna be dead for sure. Like,
Yeah.
that's how you survive that kind of spot.
It's not something you do with a busted neck.
But it's also something I'll never forget watching. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's what's been great about these War Game shows that NXT's done. And then the men's War Game match, which is going to be great. I'm really, really pumped for this, and that's because I'm excited to see what Pat McAfee's going to do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his first match in NXT, to me,
was great.
A stellar match.
Yeah.
So you're going to throw this guy in here with all these players. You already know him and Adam Cole are just magic in the ring together. So now you have Undisputed Era going against Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne, and Lorcan, and what's the other guy's name?
Can't tell you.
Yeah, I can never remember
that other guy.
Which is sad because they're the NXT tag champions.
I know.
This could also kind of be. So first of all, I think in the last 2 War Games, Undisputed Era has lost. I believe.
Here's the thing.
If anybody know, I know they lost last year for sure, but I want to say they lost the year before. Right now, we're seeing a very much babyface Undisputed Era coming into this match. This could be their first big win in the War Games, but this could also maybe be the end.
A win and a breakup, yeah.
So I'm very excited to see this show. I'm actually way more excited to see this than I was for Survivor Series and the Farewell Taker.
Oh yeah,
about it. And I'm excited for it. I can't wait to watch this on Sunday. So that's going to be Sunday night. I think it's 7 Eastern on the WWE Network, NXT War Games. Man, seems like a good show. And definitely I'm sure there's going to be like one more match maybe announced tonight, and maybe even a pre-show. Man, I don't know. Yeah. They don't do pre-shows, I guess, for NXT.
I don't think they do pre-shows, no, but I'm sure they'll put something else on there. It's funny because KO was
Balor on that card at all, so maybe. Well,
he's still going to be out though, right?
Well, he's title holder though. When's he coming back?
Yeah, well, they're giving him deference. Because I saw
Ciampa's not involved, so maybe
I
don't know.
Unless he comes back, nah. So I mean, there's any kind of different things. So Owens was talking about how he loved being in the War Games last time and hoped he could be in again. I mean, the only thing would be if Kyle O'Reilly and Balor have some kind of a rematch at War Games and KO takes O'Reilly's place. That'd be awesome. I don't think it'll happen, but
I don't think so. I don't think so either. And the only reason I say I don't think so is it kind of definitely sounds like we're going to see a Roman Reigns Kevin Owens feud shaping up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I didn't see all of it, but I guess on the post SmackDown Talking Smack, I guess that's back on the network now.
Yeah.
So I guess after Friday's SmackDown, like Heyman cut like a pretty decent like promo on Owens. Like they were like face to face and holding hands, like they were shaking hands at the table of Talking Smack, and he was like, "Let me tell you something."
Nice.
Went off on Owens, and like so, it really did feel like though that they're gonna set up. I've said it a million times. Kevin Owens is a guy that like I don't know why he hasn't been much higher up the card as he should have been. The few times he's kind of held the championship, it didn't really feel like it should have. And that guy's championship material, like
dude,
that guy
he was nothing but gold in ROH, and it's unbelievable to me why he's still sort of just flopping around.
Well, and I hope that's why they took him from Raw to SmackDown, is hopefully maybe they're going to push him into a bigger spot.
Yeah,
hopefully. So I don't know. All I know is I'm excited to see that all go down on Sunday night. But you came up with a unique list this week.
Yeah, this week we are going to talk about the current, as of today, world champions or title holders in. God, I wish I could speak. We're going to talk about the world title holders today in Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, and NWA. We're going to talk about them. We're going to rank them, and we'd love to have your comments. All right. So, our lists are very similar since we only have 5 to choose from, and they're pretty much note for note. So, I'm going to ask you: do you want to talk about each person, or do you want to go down the lists, or what do you feel would be best?
I feel if we listed them, we need to keep true to the list.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could just. So let's just do this. We already know who they are.
Right.
So obviously, the people that are in this list are going to be Finn Balor, who is the NXT Championship. You got Jon Moxley, who's AEW Champion. Drew McIntyre, who is the WWE Universal Champion. Roman Reigns, who is the WWE, is it just the World Heavyweight Champion on SmackDown?
Yeah, whatever.
And then you have Nick Aldis, who is the NWA World Champion.
So let's do it this way. We'll start at number 5. And we both agree on this. We both agree that this title holder is number 5 in that list, and that's Roman Reigns, the SmackDown champion. I don't know, man. My opinion is this: he's okay. He's not. He doesn't have anything that's terribly memorable about him. You know, I always felt like he was the weak link in the Shield.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I'm not trying to just crap on his past. What he's doing now with Jey Uso and the Usos is, to be honest, storyline wise, probably the best thing that he's ever done.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
but he's not a great wrestler. You know. He has the look that Vince McMahon likes. He's been in a movie with The Rock. He's related to The Rock. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Yeah. So my thing with Roman Reigns is he's very much supposed to be the next John Cena, and the problem is a lot of everything that happened post Shield was supposed to be those building stones of him being the next John Cena. That's why he was forced on to the WWE universe so much and so heavy when people were ready for him to not be in the title picture. I mean, the guy got how many title shots since he broke up with the Shield to now? I mean, tons. He was always getting title shots. But the problem was when it was Cena they were building and he became the megastar, he had the crowd with him that whole time, from Thugonomics to when it started to change. And then when, he started to lose the edgier crowd, but he had the kids, whatever, he still had a crowd. Where Roman Reigns had a crowd, but he also had a crowd that turned on him way sooner. And unlike The Rock, it didn't come back around.
Right.
So my thing is now is we've just seen enough of him. We've had the whole period where he was being forced onto us that at this point, I like what they're doing, but I said this at not Survivor Series, but what was before Survivor Series? Night of the Champions or Clash of Champions, whatever they call it now. Yeah. That the Uso stuff was great, but it could almost be still great without the title being involved.
Right. Here's go ahead.
That's kind of just where I'm at, where it's just like he's kind of the one guy where it's like, hey man, you've had your time and there's newer people coming up that like you don't need this.
Well, here's the other thing too. All right. With his leukemia, and I'm not against him. They mentioned it and they used it. They should have continued to do that. They shouldn't have turned him heel because he never got over enough as a babyface. Everything that you said about him having people that dislike being shoved down his throats, a lot of those people got on his bandwagon when he talked about his leukemia, and he survived it and he overcame it. In my opinion, This is WWE, because they don't ever let anything go long enough that should, and they have any other stuff go crazy long. They should have let him get over even more. They should have had heels pull shit on him so he could get over even more as a survivor before they ever start doing this head of the family table shit, because they wasted all of it. They were gutsy to bring it up, but then they didn't do anything with it. So
yeah, I think that's him though.
Yeah, it might
I
be.
think that probably would have been a possibility, but I think he probably is like, no, this is like real life for me. I'm not gonna turn that into a storyline.
Yep.
You know, some people are with it. Paul Bearer has passed away, and his family's like, use him in the storyline. He would have loved it. Like, it's different, you know. Jerry Lawler was okay with them doing Michael Cole saying stuff about his mom passing like the week after she passed on Roman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, some people are cool. I don't think that was something Roman Reigns was going to be like, yeah, I want to do that.
Probably right.
Line wise, which is, why they did that. And the other thing too is it's just tricky when, how many times are you going to bring something that makes somebody so human? You know what I mean? Like, when that happened, it wasn't Roman Reigns, the wrestler in the ring anymore. Like, he became a real person talking to the people that he entertains.
Yeah.
So at that point, even if you weren't like, because I was never a big fan of his, but at that point, it's like, oh, well, I mean, he's still talented at what he's doing. I just didn't like his character. So obviously I hope nothing but the best when he goes and goes through the treatment and everything. So it's like, it's just hard though, because it's like you said, Vince McMahon is pretty known that like nothing's really off limits. They'll make anything a storyline. I mean, shit, he was going to kill himself on TV. He tried to kill himself on TV, but Bob ruined it. And it's just like, I wanted to see how that was going to go. I wanted to see who was going to be Vince McMahon. Anyways,
all right.
It's just hard when you get that real stuff. And then, like you said, though, I don't know. Like, it's been a weird heel turn now. He hasn't really gone against any super baby faces.
No, he's just being kind of a dick.
Yeah, till Uso.
To his own family.
But then it's different because it's a family thing. So, I mean, he can still get away with it. Like, have him go against someone who's really, put him up. Well, and they did with him and McIntyre. I feel like he was the heel in that whole thing.
Yeah.
Especially because he won with the interference. So, but like, let him actually have a run with somebody. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I would love to see them let Kevin Owens be a babyface, and he gets in this program with Reigns, and he takes the title. I would love to see it. I really would.
I agree. All right. So we'll move on to number 4, who is the NWA title holder, and that's Nick Aldis.
Magnus.
Yeah. I mentioned this before. So as somebody who's followed the NWA and their rise from the ashes, if you will, Nick Aldis is the guy that's been doing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the partnership that he and Billy Corgan have is fantastic. If you haven't watched the 10 Pounds of Gold series, and that's from what is that, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, I mean, that was like right before All. I mean, they used that going in. All Out with him and Cody having the match for the title at All Out. Which, man, I mean, again, like, those guys were putting each other on the map back then. Like, that was a big time. That All Out show was a really big show for all those independents.
Absolutely.
For ROH, Impact, NWA, New Japan, like everybody and anybody involved in that. That was a huge night for everyone involved. And you've seen NWA was able to come out of this. AEW was able to rise out of that.
ROH was
really were taking, both have taken shape. ROH was taking shape. Yeah, they've hit some setbacks. Impact, here's the deal. Impact's still out there. They're still pumping out shows. They still do a great product. They still have great talent. It gets a little cartoony-ish for me sometimes. Like, they just tried to like kill one of the guys and did like a murder trial. And some of the stuff, I get it. You gotta like have, you gotta let, your mind wander with it, when you see characters like Sue Young or Rosemary. But the thing is too, it's entertaining. So
right.
But yeah, some of the stuff's a little questionable, but like they're all, they all have benefited off of that one night.
Right. But here's the thing with Nick Aldis, all right? And I put him in, the other guys have got their belts in the normal bit. I have Nick Aldis in his suit. And the reason I do is, and I mentioned this before, I honestly wanted to move him up. He is the classic heel. He is the embodiment of Ric Flair, Nick Bockwinkel, Handsome Harley Race, all of these guys that went before him as the NWA World Champion. And he has that absolutely classic gentleman heel kind of persona. And I love it because there's nobody else in wrestling in any promotion that does it like he does. And I don't even think anybody else does that gentleman heel. You know what I'm saying? I can't think of anybody that portrays themselves the way that Nick Aldis does. And for that reason, I almost moved him up ahead of our number 3.
Yeah, I think him and I think the closest comparison you can get to that would be Cody Rhodes, which is why their match at All In, it really felt like you were seeing two guys of the same caliber going at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, he really has that old school feel, which is really nice. I think for me, like, I like how he does that. I like the character. I like how he's holding himself as the NWA champ. It's just very old school. I just felt he just didn't in ring wise match up to the rest of the guys on that list. That's why he was at number 4 for me. And the other thing too is I'd like to see, again, like I said, I'd like to see NWA take more shape as a company in the months and year to come, to see really what they are capable of. Because again, I feel like the pandemic really kind of put a damper to them coming out of the gate. So
yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I would say this, but here's where I'll disagree with you. I think he could hold his own with anybody on our list as far as in ring, and probably
he could hold his own. I just don't think he's better than them.
Well, having said that, the other part of it is, like you, I was a fan of NWA. The things that NWA and ROH were going to do as cross promotions with Marty Scurll, and had done with, I was interested in it. The pandemic closed all that off. To be honest, this is the
pandemic,
among other things,
and Marty's dirty deeds.
Yeah, among other things. But here's the thing: tonight was the first night I saw Nick Aldis do another match. He's at number 4 for me and not higher because I just haven't seen him. He has been basically inactive during the pandemic.
Rough for them, and
that's not his fault, but that's where it lies.
Yeah, and like I said, a few more months, year down the road, see what they can really do, and maybe we'll see some more matches come out of him that'll bump him up on it. But I just, out of everything I've seen from all these guys, in my eyes, I just, like I said, he can go with all these guys. I just think they can get to a higher level though, in ring wise. That's just like I said, I think he's a better character by far than what Moxley's doing. Moxley's just being Moxley, but to me, yeah. I appreciate what he's doing as that classic heel champion.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. But yeah, and I would love to see more. I liked him when he was Magnus. He wasn't bad back. You know what I mean? In Impact Wrestling. And he, like you said, he's done a lot to really help push NWA out there. You know what I mean? Like Billy Corgan got the right people to really, really get that off the ground. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the future holds for him. And I would love to see, maybe some more crossover. I'd like to see NWA and AEW actually kind of do a little bit more crossover and not just Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa.
Oh, I'd love to see a
couple of these guys over here. Let's see some things happen.
Let's see the guys that they have left.
Right.
All right. Number 3.
Yeah, mine was Drew McIntyre.
So was mine.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. We only differ on 2 spots, buddy.
Oh, nice. You told me 4 and 5 were our same ones.
Well, yeah.
McIntyre, the thing, like, for me is you can see the difference from when he was the chosen one to now.
Right.
And, like, in ring skills have just shot through the roof. This guy, and he's gotten so much bigger, yet I feel like he moves so much better now. Just intense. Plus, I like he can sell too, though, man. He doesn't just go in there and just run the show. That's the one thing I've appreciated about him being champ, is he does take a beating when he gets in these big main events for the title.
Right.
You know, we were so used to seeing that title on Brock Lesnar's shoulders and him just run through everybody that you almost forgot what it was like to see a really good match for the actual title. And I feel like Drew brought that back. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, and that's just, again, to me, it just comes back down to the other two people above him. I just don't. I think personally, in my opinion, they're better in ring talents, and that's why they're a little bit higher. But Drew McIntyre is awesome, and I really wish he can get his. I hope he gets his moment. That's the one shittiest thing about his title run so far, is what should have been an amazing moment, because I could still watch him eliminate Brock Lesnar from the Rumble and get goosebumps off that bump.
Oh yeah, dude.
Such a great pop. And that,
and I was just say, the way that they told that story was so good. Mm-hmm. And I mean, honestly, that was when Drew McIntyre went back to face more than anything else. That was the one that solidified it. And here's the thing. He was okay as a heel. Mm-hmm. He's fantastic
as a face.
As a face.
And I think another thing too is, especially for people, non-casual fans who are really like into this like we are, and some of the inner workings and the backstage politicking and stuff like that, that if Brock Lesnar is going to make you look like the better man one night, that doesn't happen often. You know what I mean? Like, if he's willing to sell for you, that's huge. So I think that really helped too, just push him up even more. Because again, that's not something you see Brock Lesnar do a lot, and that's sell and go out like he did for McIntyre. So again, man, I really hope he gets his moment.
I do too. He deserves it. Certainly deserves it. And it would have been, let's be honest, it would have been one of the hugest moments.
Oh man.
It would have been one of the biggest moments since Daniel Bryan won.
Well, it was so funny because so many people were like, he's going to win the Rumble and he's going to finally be champ. It's going to happen. He's winning it at Mania. Like, everybody, that was the buzz.
Everybody knew it. And nobody was, and everybody was still hopped.
Yeah. And when he took Lesnar out and like, that was it. It was like, whoa, he's going to beat Lesnar at Mania.
Yeah.
That was when it was like, and everybody lost their shit. And then it was like, dude, this is going to be epic. And then pandemic. And yeah, man, I just I hope they can do it. I don't know if it's going to end up happening. It sounds like there's a good chance there's going to be fans in Tampa Bay this year, and that it's going to be where WrestleMania is going to be. So hopefully he gets that chance then. But man, that would have been an amazing moment for him.
It sure, yes, absolutely. All right, so now we get to where we differ, and what I'm going to do is pop up our lists. So there's Ace's list. We agree. From 3, 4, and 5. Where we differ is 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. You've got Moxley.
I'm a way better looking cartoon character.
What?
I said I'm a way better looking cartoon character than in real life.
No, that's not true. But that is a damn good picture. Handsome. So you can see we just have 1 and 2 flip-flopped. I don't know that there's any reason why that's bad. But we'll start with my he's my top guy. And that's Jon Moxley. And I'm going to talk about him as being because he's your number 2.
Yeah.
But you go ahead and talk about him first.
Yeah. So first of all, this is a tough call between him and Finn Balor. I mean, that's a real tough call, because if those two could have had a really great program.
Oh man,
they would have had the chance. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a little bit more into Finn Balor, I think. So like, it's probably why he edged it out. I like how he carries himself. But like Moxley is just, I mean, first of all, he's going to go down in history as like that guy because he is the first guy that jumped ship.
Yeah.
You know, he's the first official, like, I mean, I guess you could say Goldust Dustin was, but like everybody kind of knew his contract was going to be done and that he was going to go. Like Moxley, though, was that first guy that it was like, ooh, he might show up, and then he did. You know what I mean? And that was the first big, you know, plus, I mean, that made news too, because he got away with without having a non-compete. You know what I mean? Like, so he was like pretty fresh out and then went straight into AEW because he left on good terms. They had no idea what he was about to go do. So that's why like he's always going to stand out in a part of wrestling history for that. But my thing is, I loved Ambrose when he was in FCW, when he was doing he had like almost like it's kind of like what he does now, but it was Dean Ambrose then before the Shield. In FCW, it was great. Plus, him on the independent scene as Mox was awesome too.
Jesus,
watch some of his stuff in CZW, and you make for just some of the stuff they did. But I mean, the guy's been a talent since then. So I mean, just really great talent, man. I like I said, when he was in FCW, I had always been like, dude, Dean Ambrose, he could come on the main roster. He should be on the main roster. He should. And when he debuted, I popped so hard. But when it was the Shield, I was so disappointed.
Yeah,
because I was like, this guy is a star, and I had said that the whole time. Like the Shield was around, I was always like, Ambrose is the star. Ambrose is like the best out of these three guys.
Yeah,
and I feel I was right because between the three of them, who had a title first in that group? So, yeah, man. Like I said, Finn Balor for me just kind of edged him out a little bit, but man, what a great wrestler. He earned his spot on the list this year too for the top 100.
Absolutely, he did. Now I'll tell you what. Here's the reason that I put him at number one. All the reasons that you mentioned, but for me, he is. Even with his whole story, he's like the embodiment of what the next Stone Cold would be. He's the closest thing to an embodiment of Stone Cold. His character doesn't give a shit. I don't think he gives a shit as a real human being. And right. I know that's not necessarily true, but he has this tendency to live his life in a kayfabe kind of way. And to me, it's just like, man, I just love it. I love it because to me it's old school and he deserves to be at the top. So for me, he's number one. We'll move next to your number one, which is my number two, and that's Finn Balor. Now, I got to tell you this. This was so difficult for me because I love Finn Balor. Finn Balor was the total package. Finn Balor came up with so much stuff. So many innovations. And I got to tell you that out of all of those guys that we've listed, his entrance still excites the shit out of me every single time he does it. He has, in my mind, the single best intro package of anybody right now. And it just, when that happens, I'm excited, and I know whatever the hell happens is going to be great. He's now, we haven't seen him for a while because he got his jaw broke, and there was talk about whether he was going to drop the title. He's not dropping the title. They're going to keep it on him, and they sure should. But he's my number two.
Yeah, he's a good pick. I mean, even with them toning down, because it's a little bit different, his entrance on NXT than it was on the main roster, because he doesn't go by, they took the whole demon.
All right.
And now it's the Prince, I believe. Almost back to his real name, Prince Devitt.
Yeah.
So it's a little toned down, but still same song and still same energy, and he still does the arms in there. And you're right, it's always fun to watch him come out. I wish they would let him go back to doing the painting if he wanted, but let him do what he wants and not always just a different variation of the demon,
right
on the indie scene. But I mean, I think all around he's probably the best wrestler on the ring. So right away, that's what stood out for me as number one. Always entertaining. There's always something about a foreign wrestler too. Like even McIntyre, I like him on the mic, and I like that he's not He's got that accent.
Mm-hmm.
Makes him sound more badass when he's like, I'm gonna kick your ass. You know what I mean? And I like too that like Balor also wasn't like a big jack dude. You know what I mean? Like he is, but not compared to some of the guys he's working with. So for him to be able to, make his way like he did, he also had some bad breaks too, man. I mean, like who knows? He could have been the next John Cena if he had to give up the title when he had to after winning it. You know what I mean? And another thing that kind of attribute to this too is, like I said it earlier, I believe NXT is the most well-rounded, best wrestling product that's out there to watch right now. So I felt it only fit that they should also be at the number one spot. He should be, because the whole thing in wrestling is you're only as good as that your locker room leaders really can help dictate where your shows are going to go.
Right.
If everything's going good backstage and you got those great locker room leaders back there, it rubs off everybody, and that helps the product. And you got to take that into account for all of these people that are on this list. And for me, I feel like he brings the most to that NXT locker room, being that he was already there, being he was already champ, being that he then went to the main roster, being that he had those tough breaks, some good moments, comes back. And then on top of that, he's had some great career moments before WWE.
Oh, yeah.
In New Japan, overseas, and just an amazing career. So that was why I put him at number one. Yeah, that was a decent list, though.
Very good list. Here's a quick recap. There's Ace's top 5. And we'll let you know that we had one difference, and that was up the top 2. But we were almost on par, but the reality is we only had 5 to choose from, so it wasn't that difficult. But honestly, they're all 5 qualified to be champions. It's just and clearly it wasn't that difficult to rank them until we got up to the very top.
Yeah, those top 2 were the real hard one for me. It was like, because either or could have been. Again, too, like I said, I think Moxley brings a lot to the locker room over there at AEW too. I don't think it's talked about that much, but I think he really does, especially for the young, because that's AEW is a lot of young talent.
Oh yeah,
a lot of young talent. So yeah, you got Jericho there, you got Arn, you got a bunch of these guys, Cody, who have been through WWE and all that, but you got a guy in Moxley where, he went through the ringer. He basically got shit on the last couple of years of his time there after coming back from like a year off injury. And it's just like, so he knows, like he can kind of bring that to these guys who may be like, this don't work, I'll go to WWE. So, I mean, I just think he's a really good leader too for them. It was funny hearing, I don't think we talked about it on this show. Maybe we did.
Hey, Corey, how you doing, buddy?
With, Cody Rhodes did the interview about the chair shots to the head.
Oh yeah.
He mentioned in that like the 2 people who were like chewing Shawn Spears' ass out right after that backstage was Tony Khan and Jon Moxley.
Mm-hmm.
And Moxley, I guess, had a chair in his hand and was showing him where he was supposed to hit him and what he did wrong and all this. So I mean, again, so I think that leadership role helps a little bit, but like I said, I think NXT is the best product out there right now overall as a wrestling show. And so that helped too.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And so that was great. So what do you think? Next week, we have...
Well, I got my 2 ideas for next week would be either A, we do the same thing we did tonight with the women's champions of these different things, or being that War Games is on Sunday, we could also just do our top 3 War Game matches.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can only think of one of my favorite top War Games, and I have to go back and watch all of them.
All right. Well, you want to do the we could just do this.
It's easier to do the women.
So that'd be the NXT, the Raw, the SmackDown, AEW, who is Serena Deeb right now. Don't forget.
AEW is not.
NWA. AEW.
Actually, I think. Oh yeah, that's right.
Serena Deeb.
Jesus, and it's not Thunder Rosa. God dang it.
No, and I think that I think we're going to see Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker eventually, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
why
we
Britt
will.
Baker- she's facing some other girl tomorrow night, but
I don't know. God, I don't know what. I don't know. It's just so hard to say. War Games. Yeah, it's like 7-8 seconds, Corey. It's wicked delay. But that's what happens when you're when you're a big shot. Oh my God! By the way, comedian Corey Adam, right here with us tonight. Via this, we'll have him on one night when he doesn't have to do his Tuesday commitment.
yeah,
that way when you're on with us, there will be no delay, only
Right.
for the viewers.
right?
But anyway,
Yeah,
so we'll do women. God, Serena Deeb. God, well, okay, 5. I mean, God love.
You go look at it though. Serena Deeb's had a little decent career. She just never. The thing with Serena Deeb is everyone's going to remember her for being the ball-headed chick in
Straight edge.
In straight edge society. She never really got her dues.
What? Which podcast? Just the night one, right? Not the day one. We'll wait about 10-15 seconds and then we'll hear back from
But yeah, man, I mean, like she never kind of they never used her right in WWE, so you remember got to see what she could do.
Right.
So she did some good stuff in independence, and she actually, I mean, she's come back and trained at the Performance Center for WWE. Like she's helped.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good, but that's probably the other one was probably the one you got paid for, huh? Anyway.
But yeah, so yeah, it's. I mean, let's be honest, Serena Deeb's probably gonna be number 5 on all of our lists.
Well.
Low.
Anyway. So what else were we going to talk about?
Well, we were going to talk about the AEW Dynamite, but I think we're good. We're a little over an hour.
We got $1.07. Dynamite. The only thing we need to really talk about for Dynamite is this. Tomorrow, one of the biggest matches that AEW has had, and it's been in the making for quite a while. It's Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega. And if nothing else, you want to watch that. Because that is, I mean, they got other stuff. They got 2 hours to fill. But that match is going to be fantastic. And do you think that Moxley will drop the title to Kenny Omega on a regular show?
I mean, it's possible. I guess Tony Khan came out and was saying that, they do this to not oversaturate having pay-per-views. So
yeah,
you just got to feel like it's possible that on these like special, like, Bash at the Beach or whatever these shows have been, that something could go down. They could do something storylines that's actually impactful. So maybe I don't. I mean, it would be weird that they did it. It would take the title off Moxley on the non-pay-per-view, but I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Kenny Omega being the champ. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. Again, there's just a lot of different players going on in AEW that it's just really hard to be like, who really should be going to the top right now over there? Because there's just a lot of people over there. So,
yeah, you make a point. All right. Well, we'll just have to watch tomorrow, and we'll talk about it again, along with ranking the women's title holders next week, right here on the good old 2 count. Thanks, everybody. I'm sorry, I walked on you.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah. Oh, we're gonna have a show this week, I guess.
Oh,
so
okay.
Thursday, Briscoe and Big A show. Me and Wes Briscoe will have a show.
Guest?
A guest, yes, we have a guest.
Can it be announced?
Sure, I guess, because we're gonna announce it tomorrow. Well, I thought he was gonna maybe announce it today and didn't have. The card is always subject to change. Just keep that in mind whenever.
Yeah.
I guess, but we're supposed to have King Mo on.
Oh,
Former Bellator MMA fighter who then also was in Impact, and him and Wes ran together over there in Impact for a while.
awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to that on Thursday, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you again next Tuesday right here on the 2 Count. Take care. Bye-bye.